everyone, welcome back to Allcarnews, and we're here with an awesome new Mini. And I love driving Minis. They have a really fun, unique driving character, and this all-new bold design that they're going with is definitely eye-catching. But this is the all-new 2025 MINI Countryman SE, their first ever electric SUV from the brand, and I've had an interesting week with this car. Honestly, getting into it the first time, I wasn't the biggest fan of the combo of the looks, and I was a little bit nervous about the range, but over the course of this week, this thing has completely proven itself to me, and honestly, it's been one of my favorite stories of a car I've had so far this year. Honestly, I really like the look now. It gets way more range than the EPA says, and it's actually incredibly practical inside. But is all of this good? We're gonna go find out in this video. I'm gonna take you guys on a full in-depth tour and review of this all-new MINI Countryman S and see if you should consider it over some of the other electric SUV competitors. Let's go dive in. So since this Mini is electric, of course, there's nothing under the hood here other than some motor stuff. And there's no frunk either, so there's no point really opening it. But we have around a 64 kilowatt hour usable battery pack in this car, which at first you may think, oh, that's a little bit small. EPA claims range is around 212 miles, which it totally can do. But over the course of this week of testing, I have seen well north of that, I could say. If you drive in the efficient mode and honestly drive efficiently, you could see around 250 or more range, which I think is pretty impressive for this car. It is actually very, very efficient. Now, after all, it's a BMW Group EV, and we know how well these actually do in the real world versus some paper numbers. And another great thing about this Countryman SE is it's all-wheel drive, so it has that MINI ALL4 system, and it drives unlike any other Countryman I have driven. We'll get to that in the driving impressions later on, but we came out of the John Cooper Works Countryman, obviously with a 4-cylinder, and this lower center of gravity has a really, really nice impact on this car. It drives so balanced and so smooth. It doesn't feel front biased either, even with this dual-motor all-wheel drive system. And with over 300 horsepower and over 300 pound-feet of torque, it's really, really peppy and quick off the line. But how is the charging performance? Well, I'm happy to report that the MINI Countryman SE charges actually quite well. It may only get up to 130 kilowatt DC fast charging speeds, but you have to remember, this is a smaller battery pack. It's only 64 kilowatt hours usable, which means it still can do 10 to 80% of range of charging times in just around 30 minutes. And honestly, I proved that to be true. We just charged this yesterday before this filming of this video, and we literally did from around 10% to 80%, and it took right around 32-ish minutes. Really, really impressive, actually. Pretty decent charging curve. Doesn't stay at those peak speeds for too long, which isn't that bad, but I think it's pretty quick, actually. I like these little doors here Mini has designed for this kind of charger area. It's really sleek as well. Of course, we have our J1772 port, of course, for level 2 charging. That can charge up to 11 kilowatts, which is a decent speed, actually, but honestly not bad with charging performance whatsoever. And like I said, range is a lot better than what I've been seeing on paper in the real world, which is also a really nice touch. Now, what about the design of this all-new MINI Countryman? Well, we've seen this car already. It's been on sale for quite some time now, and we had the John Cooper Works version, which I think looked quite cool. And this one doesn't really look that different. You're never really going to know it's an electric vehicle other than this lime green accented S badge here. That's really your only indicator to know that it's an EV, and of course, no exhaust tips out back. I do love Mini's new headlight design. You can customize this to 3 different LED designs, which is pretty cool. Really bright, dynamic LED lights. No complaints there whatsoever. Coming down here, we're not going to find any sort of fog lights, but I do like this chili red body color integrated into the grille design over here. It's of course a full, almost flat front fascia over here. Since this is an EV, we don't really need air going anywhere. And we have a lower plastic bumper down area over here, and these active shutter flaps over here to allow some more air in to cool the battery if needed, or for AC and stuff. I like this little almost bronzish colored accent around the Mini badge as well, and it's a lot more boxier and bigger looking than the previous Countrymans, even though footprint-wise, it's actually not that much bigger of a vehicle. But I think this honestly looks quite cool in person, and I like that it hides the fact that it's an EV. If you don't want to be loud and say, oh, I have an EV, this is a good car for you. Now, of course, there are plenty of ways to configure your MINI Countryman SE, and this is just one color combo. Of course, we have our white roof and white mirror caps. All of that, of course, can be changed. And also can be changed are these wheels. These are the smaller 18-inch wheels, which you're probably going to want because the 19-inch wheels will reduce range just a little bit. But there are different options, of course, you can choose from, and honestly, I did not really like these wheels personally when I got the car last week, but over the course of this week, I think it really blends in well with this design theme. Very simple silver wheel. They honestly look a little bit bigger than they actually are, I think, because of these large spoke designs here, but of course, you can go on any option you want. Very very high PSI inflated tires here. Of course, low rolling resistance tires. You're going to want that for a little bit more range. But overall, I think this is a pretty good package, and it pairs really, really well with the suspension setup and the lower center of gravity on this car. Really, really nice driving dynamics on the road. Now, coming over to the rear end of the all-new Countryman SE, we have, again, that nice white roof design, big panoramic glass roof. I really like the gloss black roof rails as well, and I really like this side accent piece here with the British flag and the ALL4 logo there. Nice touch, and I've always liked this new rear end on the Countryman. I think it's really distinctive, unique, and of course, we have these awesome taillights, which you can choose from 3 different patterns as well, which is a really nice touch. Big, bold Countryman S badge back here. Again, another green, lime green accent, and it's in that same kind of bronzish metallic finish. I think this is a very handsome, distinctive looking car. It still looks like nothing on the road. And yes, it may be the biggest Mini ever, essentially, but you have to look at it in terms of its competitors. It's still the smallest dimension-wise than a lot of its competitors, while still offering an incredible amount of space on the interior, which I think is really, really a nice touch. Now, opening up our trunk for the Mini, of course, full power tailgate over here. We're also gonna find some parking sensors back here, and you're gonna notice, of course, no exhaust tips because it's a full EV. We have a nice, big, wide opening over here, and I really like this cargo cover back here with the British flag design in it. I think that's a nice touch. Opening up our floor panel over here, you're actually gonna find a little bit more storage. We have a charging cable over here for level 2 charging at home or for a wall charger, which is quite nice, but the rest of that space is kind of eaten up by, I'm assuming, some electrical components. So it is still nice. You still have a little bit of some underfloor storage here, and the seats do fold down in a 40-20-40 style, which is quite nice. So you can fold down that center bit of the seat, and honestly, it unlocks a quite a large amount of trunk space in here. I was able to fit some really big IKEA boxes in here, even with folding those seats down with no issues whatsoever. So it's a lot bigger than it looks, I will have to say that. I like the power touch, of course, is really nice, and overall, I think it's just a good overall storage compartment back here. We have a little more side storage cubbies over here, and that's about it. But let's close up our trunk here and go take a tour of the interior. Okay guys, let's go take a tour of the rear seats of this Countryman SE. And we have our mini key fob over here, which I do quite like. It's this oval shape. It says Mini on the back. Really fun. We have a remote start actually as well to precondition our car for temperature. Open our trunk, unlock as well. And of course we have really incredible amounts of functionality here with the digital car key, BMW's Mini's digital key, excuse me. We have this nice little animation on our taillights there as well. And you also have a key card. Really nice solid door thunk sound as well on this car. Listen to that. That is satisfying. We also have privacy glass on this particular one as well. Let's hop inside. And before we close the doors up here, this is such a cool material because right now it looks black, but from different angles you can see this blue undertone underneath this kind of unique cloth material here. It's really interesting door handles as well to get in and out of the car. And we can also see this oval pattern throughout the entire vehicle, which is pretty cool. Even on the doors, on the speaker grill over here, we have a nice cup holder back here as well. And again, that nice solid door closing sound. Awesome. Now we're in the back seats of this Mini, and honestly, I have a pretty decent amount of room back here, which is quite nice. We have some storage cubbies on the backs of both seats, which is also nice. We have our own air vents back here, which unusually cannot be moved, though we do have a little control here. 2 USB-C ports as well, and a little storage area down here. These seats are really interesting. A lot of cool, fun patterns. We see that oval shape over here. They are quite comfortable, actually. They feel nice, have nice support, though. I would like a little more thigh support. That would be nice, though. It is a smaller vehicle. We have this unique kind of cloth material back here as well on the corners of the seats, which I quite like, and on these rear headrests, which can fold up and down. Really cool pattern on there. It has that multicolored design. I can also find that in the center armrest over here, which folds down to reveal 2 cup holders. Very nice, cushiony armrest as well. Really high quality interior. And like I mentioned before, we can fold down this center area over here just like that, and it goes right back up. You can even have it in different positions if you need to, and fold it completely back. These seats kind of recline just a little bit. They have a nice indentation to them, I think, back here. We also have a wonderful giant panoramic glass roof that goes all the way to the back right here, which I quite like. It really helps to open up this cabin, and you have a nice amount of headroom back here because of this boxy shape. We have LED lights back here, which can be dimmed, I believe, from the infotainment system, which is kind of cool when they are on. And otherwise, it's a pretty nice space back here. We don't really have any EV compromises in the sense that the floor feels too high, or there's just like weird stuff going on with the floor. I think it's quite nice. We have nice soft carpeting on this particular Mini as well, and almost flat floor. There's a little bit of a hump here. Remember, this is not a pure EV architecture. But let's go hop up front here, because as we know, as we saw on the Countryman, John Cooper Works, this is a interesting infotainment system. Okay, guys, let's go hop up front now in the Mini. Again, like I said, we have these really flush, sleek door handles here. It's a new BMW Group design. I love these mirror caps as well. Of course, power folding, opening our doors again. Nice solid thunk up here, which I really quite like. And just have a quick glance at this insanely unique cabin that MINI is doing. I do like these seats a lot. They're actually quite comfortable. They have that same Western style cloth material, which is really, really cool pattern. Lots of nice side bolstering as well. You can find that material going along the sides of the seats, and some cool patterns on there as well. We have memory, power adjustment, and this front seat is a massaging, which is pretty cool. Let's hop inside. Nice solid door thunk again from this MINI, and we have a Harman Kardon speaker system in this particular Countryman, which is really, really great. We have speakers under our seats as well. Yeah, this is a cool interior, guys, and unlike other EVs, this one does still have a on-off switch. So we're going to head over to our center area over here. I'm going to sign into my profile that I set up for this vehicle, because you can have different profiles and you need to have a MINI ID to unlock really any of the features in this car. But we have a little power switch right here, which is pulsating, which is kind of cool. And we just pop it on, and it comes to life, which is really nice. And of course, we have this heads-up display over here, which is great. Lots of information on there. Really, really crystal clear, high-quality graphics, and it pops into the car when you're not using it. So, what is this interior like? It's definitely unique and interesting, to say the least here. I love this new steering wheel design that MINI is doing. It's definitely quirky. I'm not too sure how I still feel about this kind of fabric piece here. They're kind of doing that throughout the entirety of the vehicle, but I do like this kind of gold accenting around the steering wheel design. Lots of big chunky bits over here for some bolsters. We have a full driving assistance professional package on this particular Countryman, so it does basically drive itself at lower speeds. Fantastic systems there. Some other nice hard buttons here. We have automatic headlights, automatic windshield wipers, and this kind of Western cord materials all over the entire dash. Blends into the door here. Really interesting air vents, like we saw on John Cooper Works one, with this almost like a spine coming through the dash. It's a really cool design aspect here, but I like how it's still just normal controls here. Nothing too crazy there. Again, fantastic heads-up display. We also have that MINI projector here, so at night we have light projected onto the dash, which is really cool. And a lot of interesting storage solutions in this car as well. We have a little bit of some small storage openings to get into this door storage over here, but it's pretty deep actually. A lot of like more plastics in this vehicle, but again, it's a MINI, not like a BMW or something. So I think that's acceptable here. There's no real any thigh support or leg support in the center area over here, but thankfully our seats are bolstered well for that. But that does open up a lot of fun storage space over here. So we have a fantastic wireless charging mat that's LED lit. It's ventilated as well, so your phone doesn't overheat. And it has this nice cool Western cord material here over there. We have another storage cubby down here, which is quite nice. Two big cup holders. And we have two USB-C ports right hidden over here, and a 12-volt socket. Though unusually, this center armrest, which is quite squishy and comfortable, does not open. I don't really know why it doesn't open. I think it should. It does move forward and back, but it doesn't open. We do have a glove box over here, which is nice. You can see some of that ambient lighting peeking through right now. We also have the MINI key card here if you do want to choose to use your key card instead of key. And again, seats are pretty comfortable in this car. We do have some hard buttons on this interior. So we have our park, neutral, drive, and B mode for our regenerative braking mode, and enhanced almost one pedal driving mode there. We also have our experience modes here and a volume knob, which is quite nice, and some hard buttons here. But what BMW and MINI are doing now is a lot more shortcut based things. So to control in-depth lighting controls, you press that little button here, it opens up an expanded page. If you want to control drivetrain, chassis stuff, you press that button here, it brings all of that systems all up for you. And there's so many things to edit and kind of customize to you. I love these new graphics they're doing for these safety systems. It really helps you to understand what's going on with them, because some of them can be a little bit confusing to understand. So I like that they're doing that here. Like I mentioned, lots of experience modes. That's a huge part of this vehicle. So you have a few modes that actually do different things. So go-kart mode obviously is your sport mode. You can edit some things in here. Fun little sounds and animations happen, and the whole theme of the infotainment system changes around these experience modes. Everything from navigation to your weather, obviously all this stuff up here too. So that's really cool. And then we also have core mode, which is like a normal mode here. And we also have green mode, which unlocks things like max range mode over here. So you can unlock max range here, get the most range out of the vehicle you can. We have an efficient screen here, which is really cool. And then, like I mentioned, everything kind of transforms around these modes, which is really, really cool. And they do work. This is a great mode if you want to drive efficiently. Personal mode lets you edit the ambient light color, which is kind of nice. You can put any photo you want back here, which is really cool. This has a sunset, and there's a whole bunch of other fun modes to explore. But it's really, really a customizable infotainment system. I think that's a huge, huge plus, though it's a little bit difficult to use, I would say. Sometimes there's a lot of stuff jammed into this one screen, and it's definitely a learning curve, especially coming from some older minis, which basically had a reskinned like iDrive style system in the circle dash area over here, and you had a digital cluster. There's a lot of stuff just baked into here, but of course we still have that heads-up display. Nice clean screen here. All of these change, but depending on your experience mode for your speedometer, if you want that, everything will kind of move around. So if you're using navigation, for example, and it can be built into this little circle here when it's on, which is quite nice. The built-in navigation is very, very good, actually. Of course, Apple CarPlay connectivity in this car as well. Like I mentioned before, you have to sign into a MINI ID if you own this vehicle to really unlock everything. And for example, some other stuff is you go to the connected store here, there's more stuff. You can download games. That's another additional subscription cost to get that as well. It's really crazy. There's a lot of stuff to kind of set to your own personal liking. So lots of customizability, but that definitely comes with a learning curve. But we also have an interior camera in here, as well as a drive recorder. So if you get into an accident or if there's an event, you basically have a built-in dash cam on the car as well. So lots of cool features in that aspect. And I like this kind of home screen interface here. It's quite sleek and nice. We have a British flag that pops up there. This is your adaptive content screen. So when you're adaptive driving on your Drive Assist Professional, that will show some really cool content there. I love this trip data screen here. It's really dynamic. You can move the vehicle around really easily, and you can change all these different parameters, which is really nice. We have a nice, really cool, well-designed weather screen as well. And this just got a software update while we had this car this week, so it's way quicker than it was before the software update. I can definitely tell you that, which I quite like. You have an app drawer here. You can kind of add some shortcuts if you want. And then the climate controls are a little bit interesting. I think they finally figured it out. So you can now finally kind of access your heated seats and heated steering wheel without having to go into the climate and turn it on. Before, you had to have this on, even if the fan was, let's say, off, for example. If you took it out of auto, you could put your fan to 0. You had to have it on still to access this. Now you don't. You can just turn off the climate separately and independently from your heated seats, which is quite nice. This is pretty easy to use if you want to adjust your temperature. You can have slide it here, which is quite nice. But yeah, there's a lot of fun things. And you can see now that we just turned that on, it readjusts our range, for example. So it's really good at calculating what range you're going to have at whatever time. And a lot of these things are really intuitive in the sense that if you think it's going to be something you want to see more information on, touch it and it will open up a screen for you in that aspect, which is kind of cool. We have battery preconditioning as well. We can go over to our EV pages here. So head over to our vehicle status here. We're going to see some information. It's going to tell us our battery conditions, for example, and we can also go to our charging page here. So it's going to set charge targets, predicted range at different percentages. So let's see, 100%, it's estimating 253 miles. That is well north of the EPA rated range, I could tell you that. If we charged 80, it's saying 202 miles. We have charge limits, departure plans, and other additional settings here from preconditioning. If you put it in the navigation, for example, it will automatically precondition the battery for charging, which is pretty cool. We also have plug-in charge as well. You can sign in through your MINI app, so you don't have to actually pay at a charger, which is quite nice. At the charger, it just automatically starts charging your card you have on file, which is pretty cool. But, you know, I could spend hours and hours and hours diving through all of the screens and stuff in this infotainment system. But one thing I do want to point out is the exterior lighting customizability. So you can change the pattern of your lights, for example. So you press this edit function here, your car has to be off to do so. And you can see we have these 3 different patterns here. So favored, John Cooper Works design, and classic. That's also going to change our taillights too. We have classic, favored, and the John Cooper Works design. So that is pretty cool. I like it in classic, so I'm going to leave it on that. But guys, this is largely the interior of this Mini. With a lot of fun sounds. There's drive sounds. There's cool lighting patterns and designs that happen with the vehicle. We have this cool little storage cubby in the center over here, which opens up. We have this nice little cord cloth piece to open it up in there, which is really nice. Has a nice solid thunk in there. Really like that. And of course, we have our controls up here for our panoramic glass roof. But this is a pretty funky interior. This is definitely not for everyone. I would say this screen, you definitely need something to go into a dealership, try it out for yourself, see if you like it or not. But overall, it's a really unique space. You're definitely not going to see anything else like this in the market right now. Very, very mini. Let's go take this thing out on a drive and see how it does. Okay guys, heading off in the all-new MINI Countryman SE All4. Driving this around town, compared to some of these other EV SUV competitors, definitely feels like a Mini. I can tell you right off the bat, it has that zippy go-kart-esque feeling, and it's still smaller than most of its competition dimensionally wise, so I guess in this class it is Mini. It also makes some fun sounds as well, these iconic sounds. Have a go at this. Sounds like I'm in the Jetsons at this point. Really, really fun. Even in the go-kart mode, the kind of performance mode, it has this sort of kind of fake revving sound to it, which is pretty interesting. I'm too sure I'm a big fan of that, but I think you can also turn that off. I have to say, it's really, really nice with this electric powertrain in the Countryman. It's incredibly zippy, quick, great acceleration, and good throttle response as well. And that's not something we always talk about in EVs, but some of them just have this very vague accelerator pedal. I guess I can't say throttle, but this is a great response, and this is something I expected out of a BMW Group EV. The i4 has a pretty good throttle response, so this is pretty nice to see here as well. Really comfortable suspension. I think it's well damped. It's definitely on the firmer side. I think that could also be these specific tires here. They're pretty high PSI. I think they're over 40 on these smaller wheels, so it has a little bit of that firmness, but the suspension itself, its job is doing a really great thing. The damping's really good. We have that low center of gravity with this battery pack down here, so I quite like that as well. So all of that's really aiding into a pretty generally nice driving experience in this all-new MINI Countryman EV. And the great thing is that it's actually pretty quiet in here. I like that a lot. A lot of these EVs, kind of lower end, have a lot more road noise, and I don't really typically like that. This Mini is quite quiet as well. Now the steering rack itself is pretty quick actually. It can make some pretty abrupt maneuvers if you do need to in this car, which again, that's part of that Mini go-kart-esque experience. But overall, it's actually quite nice and progressive. Definitely very electrically boosted in this car. Actually quite like it though. I wasn't expecting to like it as much. It drives a little bit better actually than the Countryman John Cooper works we were just in. That definitely felt very front wheel biased. Obviously transverse front wheel drive platform this vehicle is, but with the electric architecture underneath it now, with the battery packs and two electric motors, it definitely feels a little bit more balanced than a typical Mini would, and I wasn't expecting to like it this much. And with this Countryman as well, we're getting pretty nice features in here. BMW's, BMW Group's fantastic park assist professional system with 360 cameras, route following, you can trace routes as well. Lots of fun stuff there. We also have really great driver safety system. So this one does have fully a kind of adaptive cruise system with lane change assist, hands-free driving, and a traffic assist mode as well. So it does pretty good on those fronts. I think the seats are pretty comfortable. You have insane amounts of headroom in these Countrymans. You can sit pretty low. I like how they allow you to still sit low in this car. And I like how they gave you this heads-up display in this vehicle as well. It's a lot better than just having this giant center screen here. I think that would be a huge, huge no-no for a lot of people. So having this heads-up display with our speed right in front of us gives you that, kind of sense of comfort of having a full digital cluster in front of you, but, kind of making it more minimalistic and unique in that Mini standpoint. Spacing here is really good. Just overall, I think usability of this interior is okay. I would like to see a little more center console storage that is under here. I'm not sure why they couldn't make the storage. You have this little unique little box here. Nice big cup holders. I love the wireless charger. I think that's one of the best parts of this vehicle. Does a really great job at keeping your phone charged quickly while keeping it cool. It has a nice vent in there. Let's pop it into our go-kart mode, head it out onto the highway here, and see the fun sounds it can make, which is kind of cool. Listen to this fake revving sound it has here. I guess it doesn't really do it when you're on power, but let's say if you're at lower speeds, it kind of, if you lift off, it has like this kind of bouncing off the red limiter sound, which I think is quite funny. Lots of power, like I mentioned, on this all-new Countryman SE. Really, really great. And I love the adaptive regen control you can get on this vehicle, actually. So I'm going to pop it into green mode, which is our most efficient mode. Our range is going to recalculate up for us in the top right corner there to give us a little bit more of an efficient estimate. We also have a max range mode, which will kind of limit you to 50 miles an hour. Though you can bypass that by pressing the dead pedal on the the kick down-ish switch there. Out here on the highway, again, really comfortable. You can see it likes to be a little more efficient in this mode, but you can get rid of this by just going back to your speedometer. Really, really nice out here on the highway. You can see how quiet it is. And also out here on the highway, we can put to test our driving system, professional system here. So I'm going to go to the screen to do so we can see a nice visual of what's happening. Really cool visuals on this Mini, and all I have to do is press this little left button here, driving assistant activated here, and it's now watching my eyes via this little infrared sensor over here, and I'm getting really great visual graphics up here on our heads-up display and this screen over here, which is showing the car even going by us, which is really cool. Really great animated graphics there. And since this is the more professional system, it has another fun feature where you're able to change lanes. So all I have to do is press this little switch here, and you can see now it's changing lanes for me. It likes to know that my hands are on the steering wheel, but I really like how quick it does this. This is one of the best things about BMW's based system here, is it's a quick lane change. It's very confident in its actions. I experienced this in the X5 with a similar system. Other systems just take a long time to move over, check for space. It's already kind of seeing you, showing you what's going on around it. It'll alert you, obviously, if there's something in your blind spot, and won't make that lane change. But it's a pretty cool feature, and I like that it works in this car quickly. But yeah, these are really great impressions for the first time in this all-new MINI Countryman SE. Around $50,000 as tested here, pretty much in the range that we're seeing with these things, the Lexus RZ, GP60 from Genesis, as well as the Volvo XC40 or EX40. Now I guess I changed the name from XC40 Recharge to that. So I think this is a pretty good competitor. I know a lot of first owners are really enjoying them. I think this is a great upgrade from the Cooper SE, the two-door one from before, which even had less range actually. And I think this is a great upgrade even for some older i3 buyers from BMW. I think if you want to hop into this would be a really, really sweet new ride for you. So guys, to sum up my week in this MINI Countryman SE on a raining morning is, I actually really, really like it. It's grown on me over the course of this week, and like I mentioned throughout this video, it just has over impressed in a lot of different areas. It's gotten better range, it's done better efficiency numbers than expected. I mean, it can haul actually way more than you can it looks like it can. I think it's really incredibly comfortable. It's quiet out on the highway. You know, it's a BMW group product at the end of the day. It has that solidity, quality, and out here on the highway it has that incredible German car thing, even though, you know, this is a mini British BMW group underneath, where you can go at highway speeds and not realize how quick you're going, because it's such a smooth, confident, and stable ride in this car. And I keep reiterating this so much throughout this video, that this car just drives totally differently from the John Cooper Countryman, which would make sense since it's an EV that was a gas car, but the balance of the vehicle, power dynamics, and specifically how they retuned the suspension on this particular Countryman has really, really been a huge treat. It's comfortable, incredibly composed, and has this really nice glide and smoothness to it in pretty much all scenarios that I've experienced this week. So I really, really was pleased with a lot of that. My only real gripes with this car, you know, it's a little bit expensive at this particular price point, around 50 grand, but you know, I always say, look at all the competitors. It's right in the ballpark of the same price range area, if not honestly a little bit cheaper than some other ones. Though again, keep in mind that range figure, it's a little bit lower, but still you probably will end up getting better range than you expect in this car. And my other just main gripe is the screen. I like it, the graphics are really rich, it's like OLED, it looks really gorgeous. It's just a lot of information packed into this one area. You definitely can learn it, but it is a learning curve, and honestly there's so much more in-depth information in there that you really need to, like a BMW genius, a really intelligent one, explain to you all the really cool features, or mini genius there in that aspect, to get the most out of this car. As anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more coming on Allcarnews. Cheers.